We're going to be talking about Grace O'Malley and Dave Portnoy within today's video. Okay, so if you guys are not like caught up on this whole entire thing right here, so there's Brianna Chicken Fry and Grace O'Malley. They were like childhood best friends. They recently went through a fallout. They had a podcast called Plan Brie, and then they just cut it. It's so crazy because I have to say a lot of times I saw so much Brianna Chicken Fry hate on TikTok. As soon as her situation happened with Zach Bryan, if you guys don't know about that, she was dating the country singer Zach Bryan, who, by the way, oh my God, I am so sorry, y'all. Okay, if you guys have followed my like Grace O'Malley videos and Brianna Chicken Fry and all that stuff, Zach Bryan, I literally talk shit about Zach Bryan because I'm like, oh, he's such a piece of shit. Like, ever since I had saw him getting arrested, you guys can literally, I want to say it was like on TMZ too, but I saw it on Twitter. So you guys can like literally Google it if you want to. As soon as I saw him getting pulled over and the way that he was acting, I was like, oh, I hate this type of person. Like, I literally hate him. He's like, I'm a celebrity. I'm not giving you my information. I don't know who you are and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, you could just tell that he's an asshole. Since then, I was like, I don't like him. So as soon as this whole thing came out with Brianna Chicken Fry, that they were separating and that he did her dirty. He was trying to get her to sign a $12 million NDA. I was like, oh, he really is a piece of shit. I knew it. And I told you guys within that video, if you guys followed along, I was like, oh, it bothers me that my brother is such a huge fan of Zach Bryan. And because he listens to his music so damn much, my dad became a fan of Zach Bryan. Guess what, y'all? I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I like a few of his songs. There's a couple songs that I'm like, I was driving with my dad in his truck and he's like listening to this Zach Bryan song and I was like, fuck, why do I like this song? And I ended up downloading it onto my Apple Music and I was just like, here I am talking all this shit to you guys about him and I'm like, oh my God, why do I actually like his music? It's so crazy. Because low-key, I have to give it to him. I still think he's an asshole. I think he's a really good lyricist. Like, if you guys listen to the lyrics of his stuff, I'm like, oh, wow, he really does tell stories within his song, and I really do like that type of thing. I love lyrics, y'all. I don't know why I got goosebumps thinking about lyrics, because I love lyrics so much. But damn, I'm like, oh, I'm such a fucking hypocrite. I literally told you guys, I'm like, I can't stand him. He's an asshole. And then here I am, like, I got like 4 Zach Bryan songs downloaded to my damn phone now. I'm like, ugh. Anyways, that's all besides the point. Going back to how, Brianna Chicken Fry would get so much hate, but then obviously as soon as she announced this whole separation with Zach and everyone felt so bad for her online, everyone was team Brie. I think that she was on this high, like she was like, oh hell yeah, like people are actually like, loving me on the internet, because she had said before that she felt like she always got love like on her podcast, but then in other social media platforms people would hate on her. Well, then her whole like friendship separation with Grace O'Malley happened, and the way that she chose to go about things was just a little bit messy, because everyone was looking at Grace and Grace was handling the whole situation very cute, not being all messy about it on social media and talking shit. Also, too, it's so crazy because Brianna Chicken Fry had made a video about Zach Bryan saying that she felt completely blindsided because he posted onto Instagram stories stating that they were separating. She knew that they were obviously like going through a separation, but she didn't know that he was going to publicly say that. He just did it on his own. And she said that she felt so blindsided by that. Well, fast forward maybe about, I don't know, within 3 months, maybe within 4 months, she goes and does the same exact thing to Brie. And that's why everyone's like, she goes and does the same exact thing to Grace. And she makes a statement stating that she's going to do a different version of Plan Brie, which was their podcast together. And Grace was like, oh, okay, I did not know anything about this. And she had to address the whole situation. I made a video about it. Obviously, I'm giving you guys context before getting into this Dave Portnoy situation. I have to say, right then and there, she really kicked herself in the ass, because then everyone started hating Brie again. And I have to say too, I was like, girl, you literally opens up about this whole Zach Bryan situation and you felt X, Y, and Z, but then you go and do the same exact thing to your very best friend. And whatever situations that they have going on, I really do feel like they, try to handle it offline, because they have been friends. I want to say like Grace O'Malley had said that they've been friends since they were like 10 years old. Like, it's like, okay, handle it offline. Yes, 100%. If you open up to your audience and want to talk about it, cool. But handle those things, more importantly. Like I told you guys before too, if you guys follow my podcast channel and me and my, friend had a friendship breakup, y'all, we were on no talking terms whatsoever, and I still let her know that I was going to make a podcast about it. And if I'm being so for with you, in my head I was like, fuck this bitch, fuck this bitch, fuck this bitch. Like I literally was like, ugh, like irritated by her, but I still was like, I need to hit her up and let her know that I am going to make a podcast addressing the situation as to why it came to an end. I feel like I owe it to the people. And I let her know. Also, by the way, too, it took me 6 months to make the podcast. I took so damn long. So I feel like situations like this, handle it privately. And then, of course, when you do have an audience to, speak to and open up to, because obviously you did it before, take your time in doing that, because situations like this can be very messy. Fast forward to now, okay, Grace O'Malley went onto the Theo Von podcast and he was just asking about it, very lighthearted. I want to say the way that Grace handled it with grace. Okay, I really do feel like she did. Compared to Brianna, I feel like Brianna was like, okay, I was the victim in this situation with Zach Bryan, so I'm going to be the victim again within the friendship ending with Grace O'Malley. And I'm like, girl, that's not the case when like, obviously their history together. It's kind of like, girl, like, come on. I have to say, Grace has played her faults, and so has Brie. You know what I mean? They're both in their wrong in their own way, and I feel like obviously at that point, realize your wrongs, and then obviously you could say to the other person, but you were wrong for this. And I feel like she's solely just feeling like the victim in this situation. I'm like, okay, but like, Grace is hurt by this too, girl. Like, hello, like both of you guys obviously have a problem with each other. It's not just a one-way type of thing. Anyways, she talked about it on the Theo Von podcast. I will play a small clip for you guys. It's going to be very small. It's going to be edited. I'm so sorry. His podcast is copywritten, so I don't want to get any type of copyright claims. Go ahead and check this out and let's talk about it.
Have you guys kept a good friendship after? I know that there's been like, I'm not trying to get into like the tumultuousness of things or whatever, but how does that stand today? Because it must be tough to like have a business with a friend.
Yeah. I've always just like in 2020, she got the job at Barstool and like had to move to New York for it. And I was taking a semester off from college and she was like, do you want to come with me? And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Why not? And so like I DoorDashed on foot when we got there and stuff. And like she slowly but surely like was trying to get me a job at Barstool.
Oh, really? So really hustling for you.
Yeah.
Oh,
so like
awesome.
she like really like stuck her neck out for me, and like we ended up doing the podcast together after like a year of living there, and it was just so much fun. We had a blast. It was always fun doing it.
Yeah, a lot of y'all's clips are so great.
Dude, we would just shoot the shit, good banter, but I think we're just going through a rough patch right now, and I think one day we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
But she's doing her thing, I'm doing my thing, and I still love her, so I'm being a politician right now.
As you guys saw from right there, she was handling it, very graceful. He was talking about like, oh, like, did you get paid really well from the situation? And she said decent. I do have to say this though, and maybe because like obviously I don't know, like hello, me and her are not friends, so I don't know how she talks and things like this. I do understand how to some people it could be like, oh well girl, obviously Brie is gonna get paid way more than you because Brie had a bigger social media presence than she did. Actually before Brie, Grace didn't really have a social media presence. So for Dave Portnoy to be paying her X amount of dollars, it's obviously going to be way less than Brie. That just totally makes sense. Obviously, if you guys do social media creation, you guys know that obviously whoever has like the biggest followers, if you guys open a podcast, then the person with the biggest followers is obviously going to get paid more because they're the ones that are bringing in the viewers. Do you know what I'm saying? However, Dave Portnoy actually felt the need to get onto social media, onto TikTok specifically, and talk about this whole situation and leak exactly how much she got paid. This is where I have to say, I feel like this is really messy. A lot of people have been saying like Barstool is becoming such a big company that they really need like an HR department, because the fact that he got out there and put her whole salary on blast, I'm like, isn't this illegal? Like, can you really do this? Like, sure, if she chose to share her salary, okay, cool. But he's her boss getting onto TikTok, putting her whole business out there. I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I feel like this is kind of messy. Like this, I don't know. I was like, this is crazy. But anyways, go ahead and listen to what he had to say about the whole situation.
All right, real quick. Just want to clear this up. Grace O'Malley was on Theo Von's podcast talking about her salary and how much she got paid at Barstool. Now the podcast, the clips that I'm getting peppered with, maybe a little bit out of order or not totally making sense. But the end of it, I think Grace kind of made it seem like she's like, I had an interesting contract at Barstool. I wasn't getting paid nearly as much as like my friend there.
I didn't make anything when I was there.
Half your podcast, but you had a contract. You got paid something annually.
Yeah. So I had a salary.
Okay.
And that was kind of it.
Was it a good salary?
It was decent, but my buddy was paid a little bit more, a lot bit more, a whole shit ton more.
Okay.
I didn't get paid anything on the tour. Barstool took it all.
Podcast touring, that shit is so easy. It feels like stealing.
What?
But I never made any money off of it.
Really?
Barstool took it all, yeah.
Off your tour?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Again, could have been cut up, misconstrued a little bit, but it does bother me when people make it seem like they're not getting paid fairly. And I think we treated, as I've said from the beginning, Grace great. So again, I'm just going to say exactly what she got paid instead of talking like hypotheticals and, not exactly putting numbers down. I'll just say what her contract was. She was finishing up her third year at Barstool. Her base salary, $175,000 a year. On top of that, she got 70% of anything that we were able to sell on her personal socials. So if we have like ads, it's like, hey, Grace, do this on your Instagram. She gets 70% of that. So she got another $75,000 in 2024 that way. Total salary for last year, $250,000, $250,000 to Grace. I think that's pretty fair, pretty good. I know she's like, my friend made a lot more than I did. She's referring to Bree. I mean, Bree was a much bigger personality, way more followers, bigger everything. And really, obviously, Grace's star has risen recently with the blow up and everything happening. But, you know, that is why Bree got paid more. I mean, Grace had nothing when she came to Barstool. No following, no, she wasn't doing anything. So that's not that surprising, but she was on her way up. And then the final part, a couple final last parts, like originally before this latest blow up, we thought Grace was going to continue with us and launch her own podcast with Barstool. And what we told her for that, will support you, get anybody you need, hire anybody. And once Barstool makes back your salary, your base salary, $175,000, we will split every dollar moving forward, 50-50. So it'd be like partners. So there's tons of upside for Grace. I thought it was a super user-friendly deal, creator-friendly deal. And as far as like not getting paid on the tour, she's like, Barstool, I didn't get paid for the tour. She's talking about the Planned Bree tour, which was really Bree's tour. She's obviously on it, and she was getting paid a decent salary, Grace, and that's how we pay both Bree and Grace's salary. So her comedy tour, we didn't even know what she was doing. She didn't tell us when she was doing comedy shows or anything like that. We had nothing to do with any of it. Most full-time employees, we negotiate if you want to do side deals or stand-up. She just did it on her own. I knew she loved it, had no problem. I knew there was a lot of shit going on, so I didn't say a word. She stopped Plan Bree in like October, I think, is when the blow-up. She was doing all her comedy stuff, nothing to do with us. Whatever she negotiated, made, if anything, she kept. And in fact, we talked about it moving forward because I'm like, what are you doing with this comedy stuff? We're not even in the loop. We'd like to sell sponsorships for it. And she was like, no, it's like super hacky, I guess, for comedians to have sponsors. So she's like, no, I can't do that because it's a bad look for a comedian. So that was all her side world, which we were letting her do. We were just going to try to monetize her podcast and be partners with her, really. So if you don't think that's a good deal, and she wasn't being paid, I'd say better than fairly, but like, well, I don't know. I just want it out there because I do get kind of upset. And I was super upset when I first saw it. And I said to her, I'm like, what the fuck, Grace? I actually tested her. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? We paid you good. But I just don't like when people make it seem like we scam our creators because we fucking don't. And that's why a lot of them have been with us for like over a decade.
Also, after hearing that, like, I do got to keep it real. I feel like Grace was getting paid good. Like, y'all, if I could get paid that much, sign me up. Barstool, hit me up. I literally am like, whoa, that's good money, y'all. And I really do feel like I don't know, from everything that I have seen of her, she has been so thankful to Dave Portnoy and to, Barstool as a whole because they really did platform her now. And now she's like, I want to say she's like signed on to Whitney Cummings and she's going to be doing a podcast. I don't know if it's like with Whitney Cummings, like, corporation or with Whitney Cummings specifically, but something along the lines of that. So she has always been thankful. So that's why I'm just kind of like, I don't know why Dave Portnoy like kind of took it up the ass that she said decent, but I think she was obviously saying like, oh, decent compared to, my co-host, because y'all, if Grace was getting paid that much, y'all, it's probably safe to say that Bree was probably getting paid like, I don't know, probably $500,000-$600,000 a year. But once again, I totally do understand it because she does have the bigger social media presence. Anyways, y'all, make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, Girl Scout.